Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Straight Up Boss here, and today I'm back for episode number 15 of my Brooklyn Nets MyLeague series here on NBA 2K16. So, the overwhelming sentiment in the last episode when I asked what you guys thought this team needed was that we should go out and get a point guard. So we did get a trade offer for Rajon Rondo, but I was looking for someone a little bit better than that, so I declined. And I got a really interesting trade offer here, Brook Lopez for DeAndre Jordan and a first round pick. But ultimately, I decided to just stick with Brook Lopez. Getting the first round pick would have been nice, but I thought Lopez just sort of fits the way we've been building our team a little bit more than DeAndre would. I think pairing Brook Lopez with Derek Favors makes a little bit more sense than pairing DeAndre Jordan with Derek Favors. So then I turned my attention to the point guards in the trade market. Kyle Lowry was one option. He's an expiring contract. We also looked at Jeff Teague, but we couldn't find any offers for him. So my main target was Dennis Schroeder, the former first-round pick from the Atlanta Hawks a couple of years ago. He's got 3 years left on his deal, so I was looking at the trade finder. This was the only offer that came up. I decided to modify it a little bit. I didn't feel like swapping first-round picks or giving up Terrence Ross, so I simply offered Eric Gordon and Jakar Sampson for Dennis Schroeder, and they accepted. So I figured this deal made sense for the Hawks. I mean, they have Jeff Teague locked up for the next 3 years on a pretty nice contract, only $8 million a year, and Schroeder does make a lot less, but he would have, he would have had to be a backup, and running two point guards doesn't really fit how the Hawks like to play basketball, so I think it would have made pretty good sense for them to move one of them for a wing. Especially a guy who can shoot threes like Eric Gordon. So anyway, we are taking on the Philadelphia 76ers in this episode. Now, this is not your everyday 76ers and not your modern day 76ers that you might think about. This is actually kind of a competitive basketball team, and they're one of the 6 or 7 or 8 teams vying for the final couple Eastern Conference playoff spots currently. I think we have maybe 1 or 2 games up on them, but we are currently tied for the 8th seed with the Orlando Magic, although I think because of the tiebreaker, we're currently on the outside looking in. But there's still about 14 games left to play, so I'm going to be playing 2 more regular season episodes, this one, and then we'll be doing one more, probably one of the final 3 or 4 games of the season, and we will determine whether or not the Nets will be making the playoffs. Andre Iguodala to the bucket. He was the man we picked up in the last episode, but I do want to talk about the Dennis Schroeder acquisition for just a moment. I thought that getting a point guard made a lot of sense, and like I said, it was the overwhelming sentiment in the comment section when I asked what you guys thought this team needed. And overall, I just think it was sort of the next logical step in this building process to pick up a point guard and a guy that I think could be the point guard for the future. I would have liked to get a guy like Kyle Lowry, who was on the last year of his deal, but he's on the wrong side of 30 at this point in his career, at least in this 2K MyLeague. And he would have been a free agent at the end of the year. We would have had to pay him big money, and it really wouldn't have made sense for Toronto. I mean, Toronto is currently the 5th seed in the East, so yeah, it really wouldn't have made sense for them to sell off. I mean, you could see it like Goran Dragic when he got traded last year from the Suns. I mean, they weren't completely out of the playoff picture. It's not like they were sellers or anything. Schroeder's currently a 79 overall with, I think he's 23 years old, and I want to say he has B potential, which is slightly higher than Clarkson and Smart's. Clarkson and Smart both have B- potential, so even though, Clarkson actually is going to get some crunch time minutes in this game towards the end. As you can see, Sim Bolard just completely slams on somebody. I'm not even sure. I think that's Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, his former team. Well, I don't know if they were ever teammates, actually. Maybe for like a couple weeks or something, but we traded Hollis-Jefferson pretty early last year. Either way, so yeah, Schroeder, I think he's got the chance to take over the starting point guard job for the future. Like I said, 79 overall, so I'm thinking in the next coming years, if he bumps into the lower to mid 80s, then I've got 3/5 of my starting lineup set with him, Favors, and Lopez. And I'm thinking Harrison Barnes could even be the 4th piece in that starting lineup at the small forward position, because he sort of fits what I want out of that spot. A guy, he's kind of a D&3 guy. He's very athletic. He can run in transition. And I've talked about it before. That's what I want out of my wings in this game. I think the best way to build a basketball team in 2K16 is sort of how we've done it. If you get your point guard and your big men, then you can set up your pick and roll, and if you put shooters around them, then you are going to be very hard to defend. And check out Harrison Barnes getting up there for the alley-oop. So anyway, Schroeder also, he came into the league, wasn't the best shooter, but I did look at his ratings, and his standing three-point and standing mid-range, I think, are 77 and 78 respectively. So he's really not even too bad from outside, but I care more about shooting from my wings than my point guard position, because more often than not, the point guard's going to have the ball in his hands, and if he's going to be shooting threes, it's probably going to be off a dribble, and that's really not an efficient way to go about shooting threes, especially in 2K16. So anyway, let's get into the gameplay here. So obviously the 76ers, a bit more of a competitive team than, you might think of, especially because of Robert Covington. This guy had a huge first half. He would end up with 21 in the first half alone. He has 19 already. 5 of 5 from behind the arc. Here's Jordan Clarkson, though, getting some minutes. He's going to go all the way to the basket, gets the layup to go over Nikola Pekovic. So now 45-40 is the score. Philly on top. Clarkson with the ball, looking for Marcus Smart coming off the screen. Smart finds his man Terrence Ross in the corner for 3, and he knocks it down. So we get it back to a 2-point game. Now it's Bolard in the paint here. Actually, not quite in the paint, but in the post. Going around his man Joel Embiid. and he gets the one-handed flush. So we've got a tie game right now. Terrence Ross looking to go to the bucket here, stops. He's going to find Jordan Clarkson on the perimeter for three, knocks it down, and Brooklyn goes on an 8-0 run, and they've got a 3-point lead. That would be the score entering the half as OJ Mayo's buzzer beater does not go. So we've got a 3-point lead here, 48-45. Nice little run at the end of the second quarter, and you can see we are outshooting them by quite a big margin, but the turnovers once again are the story. We've got 6 more turnovers than they do. We are out-rebounding them, though. That's a pretty good sign, especially considering the the quality of big men on this Philly team. I mean, I know a lot of them are still pretty young, but Okafor, Noel, they've got Pekovic, they've got another young guy, Riquan Holmes, I think, who they drafted in the last draft. So they've got a lot of good young big men, and I think it's a pretty good sign that we're out-rebounding a team like this. Here comes Schroeder, though, bringing it up off the inbound. He's going to find the cutting Derek Favors to the bucket. Favors had a nice day today. I think he ended up with 19 points, so he had a pretty efficient day from the field as well. And here is Holmes going to the bucket. There is that man they drafted. He gets the layup to go, and we're going to have to call a timeout. So it's a 2-point lead for Philadelphia right now. Schroeder looking for the screen from Lopez. He loses the ball, but finds the cutting Lopez to the bucket, two-handed flush. And he ends up tying this game up once again. Now 59. All Derek Favors with the nice hands gets the steal. Brook Lopez to Barnes all the way to the bucket. Reverse slam, 2 hands, and we take the lead. But it's tied up once again. We missed the shot, rebounded by Okafor, the man who got into the street fight in Boston the other night. All the way to OJ Mayo on the break, and he gives the Sixers the lead once again by 2. Now they're up by 4. But it's Iggy with the ball trying to get something going. Gives it to Favors, who's just gonna take 2 dribbles to the basket. Two-handed flush. He is too dominant down low. Now still a 4-point lead though. Here's Jamal Murray, a man who I thought about drafting. He was really the guy that I was looking to get in the draft last year. Now he was a little bit above where we were picking. I think if I remember correctly, we had the 11th or 12th pick. And I want to say Murray, I mean, he went to the Sixers, so he must have went top 6 or 7 at least. I mean, we could have possibly traded up to that spot. And like I said, point guard, was something I was looking for in the draft last year, but anyway, we wound up with Derek Favors and Dennis Schroeder instead, so I really can't be too upset about that. Although I think Jamal Murray, he's had a pretty good start to his year at Kentucky so far, and I think he would have been a pretty good substitute if we had not gotten Dennis Schroeder or Derek Favors instead. But anyway, for those who were paying attention, you might have just noticed that we cut a 71-63 lead to a tie game. So nice little 8-0 run there to end off the quarter, and we do tie things up before time expires. So we've got a big fourth quarter coming up. Like I said, this would be a pretty good win. I mean, Philadelphia, I think, like I said, they're only maybe 1 or 2 games worse than us in the standings right now. So they definitely would have been favored in this game. If we could beat them in their home place, that would be pretty nice, I would think. Here's Schroeder splitting the defense all the way to the bucket and 1. He easily could have hit Iguodala in the corner there for the 3, but he'll take it himself. Get the and 1. Now we've got a 5-point lead. It is Holmes with the ball, giving it to his man Robert Covington, and Covington drains the 3. Another one, as DJ Khaled would say. Here we go, Schroeder to the bucket though, and 1. Dennis Schroeder's having a big fourth quarter. But here we go. Now still a 3-point game. Philly is still in this. Rubio with it on the break, finding the cutting Covington, and he gets the layup to go. So it's a 1-point game once again. Now 84-82 with Schroeder driving, kicks it to Iguodala in the corner, foot on the line, but he drains the shot. Iggy had a big day offensively. I think he wound up with like 16-5-5 or 16-6-5, maybe something like that. Here we go, the 4-point lead. It's Clarkson finding Favors, and he slams it down with 2 hands. So we go up by 6 now with 3:30 to play. And then here we go, Lopez with the ball, finds Clarkson. Clarkson's going to take this straight to the basket, gets the layup to go. Like I said, Clarkson got some crunch time minutes here over Schroeder late in the game. No particular reason, but the game auto-subbed him in, and I just sort of stuck with him because he was playing well, and he knocks down the 3 here. That would be Iguodala's 5th assist of the night, but Clarkson his 2nd 3, so he played really well down the stretch, and he is only 2 overall points lower than Dennis Schroeder, so, I mean, it's not that big of an upgrade. I do think Schroeder is the better player, but Clarkson was going to be very nice to have off the bench, and he does give us a second option if we, Schroeder's struggling, but anyway, we sort of let Philly back in this game here. We were up by 12 at one point. They cut it to 4. We knocked down a pair of free throws, but Mayo in the corner knocks down the 3, and all of a sudden it's a 1-possession game with 13.3 seconds to play. So here we go. I'm going to try and get it to Clarkson. We know Iguodala can't shoot free throws, so Clarkson finds Lopez to the basket, one-handed slam, and we go back up by 5 with 10 seconds to go. This should pretty much ice things, and it would. Covington's 3 no good, and we win the game 102-97. So a big win for the Nets, a very important win. Like I said, this is a team that we're going to be battling for playoff position with down the stretch. So any win we get over them is kind of like a, it's like a double blow, so to say. But anyway, so I didn't show the 2K post game show because I don't know why, but the audio got lost for the final like couple minutes of this recording. I don't know what's going on with my editing or my recording software. I might have to reinstall it or something, but this has been happening in a couple of my videos lately. So I didn't show the 2K postgame show, but I did figure I'd show off the player of the game in Brook Lopez because he had a nice night. I think he had 15 points on only like 8 or 9 shots, I want to say. And you can see there, Philly took 25 more field goals than them, but we still beat them. I don't really know how. Favors led the way with 19. Iggy had 16, 6, and 5. Clarkson, a pretty nice fourth quarter there. He had 16 points, and then Lopez, 15 and 10. He was the player of the game on 6 of 7 shooting, so a nice night from him. Barnes struggled, 3 of 12 from the field, but it did not matter in the end. Covington had a really nice night for Philly, 6 of 8 from behind the line, and there you can see Holmes, OJ Mayo with 13 points. They had a lot of inefficient shooters, though. I mean, you take 96 shots in a game and you only put up, what do they have, 97 points? That's really bad. So, anyway, that is going to do it. Hope you guys did enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Peace.